All right, guys, we need more Dean Thomases in the world. I know that sounds crazy. In fact, he probably would even say it himself. But you've heard him talking about the mangroves and his pet project over the years, for several years. This is awesome. I mean, I know a lot of people are adamant about the fishery and some of the things going on. So I thought it'd be really cool to go through. I'm at Dean's house here at his place here in Aransas Pass. I thought it'd be really cool to go through the whole process. Dean, how'd you get this idea? Let's talk about what these mangroves are. I'm going to show them first right here, and then we'll get into the details of the whole process from seedlings to bigger plants like that. But people can do this. How'd you come up with the idea?
I mean, it was just one of those things where I was out there, and it basically, when I was kayaking full time, and I was spending a lot of time in the mangroves, I was just out there exploring, and there were so first of all, there's black mangroves that dominate the landscape out there. There's also red mangroves that are very tropical, that live all along the equator, South Florida, down in the deep south. Well, over the years, the seeds, they're actually propagules. It's not technically a seed. It's called a propagule. So it's this little container that carries the plant, and it carries the seed.
So that comes from Florida and other places?
From all around the equator, all the way around the globe.
And it looks like that when it's floating without the bloom?
Yeah, it's like a green bean.
Yeah.
Like a giant green bean is what it looks like. But so they float on the currents, they float on the waves, and they drift in the pass. And if they find a favorable spot, they take root and they grow. So we had some red mangroves that were growing in random places. And what I was doing is, whenever they would seed, as they would bloom, I would go and gather the seeds, bring them in, and what I do is I put them in a water bucket. So they grow just like an avocado seed. You put them in water in the window, and they sprout little leaves on top. They sprout roots on the bottom, and then this guy is ready to go into the dirt.
When they see the roots like that, when you see the roots like
they start to root out. And these have been in this cup, probably for about, I don't know, 5 or 6 months. They're really ready to go in the dirt. These were in the water at the same time that these in the pots.
So that goes from there to here?
To here. And so from here, they're going to go out to the water once they get a little
Anything
bit
special about the soil?
No, they grow in sand, they grow in rock, they grow in mud. It is a very, it has a lot of variety of places that will take root. I mean, it'll grow on dry ground, it'll grow underwater, it grows in fresh water, it grows in salt water. They really will. But so the red mangroves, it's a beautiful plant too. It's cool. I mean, I grow them out here on the patio and let them go. Our buddy Scott Null has one growing on his patio. That's probably 3 or 4 years he's had it in just right on his porch.
I'm going to go back a step. How do you find these? Just floating? You pick them up?
Some of these were harvested off of plants that were growing. Some of these, I had friends that went to Florida that brought me a couple bags of seeds back that they harvested while they were there. Some of the older ones, these, I believe, came from here. The taller ones were harvested.
And where do you get them?
The newer ones.
You just pluck them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before they fall off the plant, whenever they're getting fully developed, you just pull them off the plant and bring them home, stick them in a bucket of water, and it just gives them a chance to catch hold. And I've planted them all over. We have aquatic center right over here in Aransas Pass. It's by the swimming pool. There's a kayak launch there, and there's just a lot of tidal pools. I actually planted 40 in last summer that were doing really good. We just had a freeze here 2 weeks ago. Knocked them back pretty hard.
Who knows, right?
Yeah, that time will tell. I mean, it's going to take a couple months or a couple weeks to see how they do, but hopefully some of them survive.
Now, let's talk about why they're important down here. I skipped over that at the very beginning.
Well, I mean, the mangroves are a buffer zone between the storms and the shoreline. They prevent erosion. They provide a habitat for fish, for all the tiny creatures. They're going to start their lives. They live in the roots of the mangroves. They live in the shadow of them. And whenever we do have hurricanes, when we have big storms, I mean, it is a buffer zone that knocks down the violent ocean before it hits land.
Now, what is the status along the lower Texas coast of them right now?
I mean, they're thriving. They're doing good. Even the big freeze of 21 that decimated the mangroves, it was like a horror story out there. I mean, it was bad. It was everything turned from this brilliant fluorescent green color to dead crispy brown. But it's just like plants in your yard. And so the mangroves are a native plant. They've been through this before. They will survive. But it's like the stuff in your yard. When you have a freeze, when wintertime comes, it knocks it, it kills everything on top. But you know, it hits that magic temperature in the spring, and then it erupts from the roots.
Yeah.
So all of our mangroves out in the bay have done the same thing. I mean, they came back from the roots.
Have you seen any of your babies up there thriving? Because you've been doing this 5 or 6 years now.
Ah, man, the freeze of 21 was
Tough.
horrible. I mean, it knocked probably everything that I had planted years before out. But, you know, we're going to try again.
Tomorrow's another day.
We're going to try again. We keep it moving.
Tomorrow's another day. How do you know where to plant them?
You just find the edge of you want a place where they're not going to go completely submerged on the high tide or stay too dry on the low tide. So it's right at the edge of the water. Tidal ponds, shallow water, little estuaries and stuff like that. But it'd be interesting for the 40 that's out there that I had going. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing where those go, and then all of these guys will be.
And you got more over here,
shortly.
but you just showed us some that you got right here. How many do you have going right now?
I got things spread all over the place. Right here, it's like 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 or 30 here that are going to go out this year. And then if I get a chance, if somebody I know is in Florida, I'll pick up another batch and just keep it going.
What about our viewers and listeners that are saying, man, that is so cool. It's going to take more than one Dean Thomas. I know a lot of people do this, but not a lot. I mean, what if somebody wants to get into this? What would you tell them?
You can order red mangrove propagules off the internet. You can order them on Amazon, and they will send you a bag of seeds. It's easier to call them seeds. Technically, it's a propagule.
Yeah.
And you could put it in a bucket on your patio. You can put it in a glass of water next to the sink, just like an avocado seed.
Yeah.
You sprout it, you get some roots, put it in a bucket. Once it gets started.
So about this size is when you plant them?
Yeah. Actually, these are...
those are good to go?
These are a little advanced. I mean, you could plant them younger than that.
Yeah. And so last thing, then we'll let you go. What's been the result that you've seen of people doing this? Because it's a natural thing, but we need it. I mean, you said it, the habitat needs help.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on the resource. There's freshwater or water inflows, the freshwater inflows, the water quality. And I mean, everything that we can plant out there to help Mother Nature along is a good thing. So, I mean, I know there were people at the college in the UTMSI in Port Aransas. They're always monitoring the mangroves and their condition. The Texas A&M Corpus Christi, they have scientists over there that are constantly monitoring it, the ebb and flow of where they're growing. They have a program. I actually took a boat trip with a couple of the guys from Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and we went and rode around and evaluated the damage and looked for places that were favorable. Those guys actually have a project where they plant thousands and thousands of mangroves, but you know, every one is a step in the right direction. So
so from the time you stick it in the water until the time you plant it, about how long is that process?
6 months to a year.
Okay.
I mean, you can shorten it or you can lengthen it.
Yeah.
Anywhere in that range, they do very good. I like to put them in, you know, the springtime or the summer where the roots are going to take hold and they're going to be in the growing season. Everything slows down in the winter. They just don't, you know, they become kind of stagnant during the winter months. So they're going to slow down. But if you plant them in spring or in the summertime, they're going to thrive for several months and then hopefully make it through the winter.
That's Captain Dean Thomas. You guys listen to him all the time on the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And Dean, I'm going to go ahead and tell them they can reach you anywhere on social media if anybody has any questions about this, because I know, you know, we can disagree about limits and bag limits and size limits and all that stuff, and we're going to talk about that on Tuesday, the craziness that we saw on the group page for the By Me podcast. But I think we can all agree on this. If you have some spare time and you want to do something really, really important for the fishery, this is it.